What if everything you've been told about America is only half the truth? Every year, millions of people move to America, chasing a better life. But what if I told you, in the same country where someone earns thousands in a day, someone else is counting coins just to eat? What if everything you've been told about America is only part of the story? The life you've seen in movies, the success you've imagined, the stories you've heard, they exist, but they're not the whole picture. America. For millions around the world, it's more than just a country. It's a destination people believe can change everything. But what happens when that belief meets reality? You've seen the image before. Glass towers rising into the sky, luxury cars moving through wide, perfect roads, people smiling, laughing, living freely. It looks effortless. But just a few streets away, there's a different rhythm of life, one that rarely makes it into films, one that doesn't trend online, a quieter version, a heavier version. And once you notice it, it's impossible to ignore. This is a place where one person wakes up above the city skyline, while another wakes up inside a parked car, where one person spends without thinking and another calculates every single dollar. Where opportunity exists, but so does constant pressure. So which one is real? The version that inspires the world, or the one people quietly live through every day? Every year, millions look at America and think, this is where my life will change. This is where I'll finally succeed. This is where everything becomes possible. And for some, it does. But for many others, the outcome is very different from what they imagined. Because America doesn't come with instructions. There's no clear path to follow, no guarantee waiting at the end. Just a system that moves fast and keeps moving. And if you fall behind, it doesn't slow down for you. Here, time feels different. Mornings start early. Nights stretch longer than expected. People are always moving, always working, always chasing something. More income, more stability, more control over their future, but rarely a sense of calm. So here's the question few people stop to ask. If you gain everything you were chasing, but lose your peace along the way, what did you really gain? From the outside, America shines. It presents freedom. It represents opportunity. It tells the world that anyone from anywhere can build something meaningful. And that belief is powerful. It pulls people in. It creates hope. It keeps the dream alive. But what if that dream demands more than people expect? Because behind the visible success, there are silent pressures. Behind independence, there are moments of isolation. Behind the fast pace, there is exhaustion that rarely gets shown. And behind the idea of making it are people quietly asking themselves, is this the life I wanted, or just the life I ended up living? In some homes, families sit together, sharing moments that matter. In others, people sit alone, scrolling endlessly, too drained to connect. In some neighborhoods, everything feels secure, predictable, stable. In others, every day is uncertain. So how can one country feel like two completely different realities at the same time? Because America isn't one single story. It's millions of different experiences, some filled with success, some filled with struggle, most somewhere in between. And that's where the truth exists, not in extremes, but in everyday life, in the choices people make, in the pressure they carry, in the things they don't say out loud. And the deeper you look, the more complex it becomes. This is not about proving something right or wrong, it's about seeing clearly. Because what life is really like in America is not what appears on the surface. It's what happens behind closed doors, in quiet moments, in decisions that shape people's lives over time. So before we go further, ask yourself one thing. If you had the chance to live this life, would you still choose it after understanding what it truly demands? Because to understand the reality, we first need to understand the image, the version of America the world believes in. What if the America you've seen your entire life was designed to show you only part of the truth? What if everything you've watched, heard, and believed comes from a very specific point of view? America is often introduced to the world through a lens, a carefully framed picture. Bright cities, endless highways, freedom in every direction. It feels open, limitless, alive. But that version doesn't last long, because the moment you step outside that frame, the picture starts to change. This is not just a country, it's a collection of realities, some moving forward, others standing still, all existing under the same flag. In one part of America, the day begins with silence, wide open spaces, empty roads stretching for miles, small towns where everyone knows each other. Life moves slowly here, predictably, almost peacefully. But that stillness isn't everywhere. Just a few hours away, everything changes. Now you're in the middle of a city that never stops. Cars rushing, people walking fast, phones ringing, screens glowing. Here, time feels expensive. Every second matters, every minute counts, and if you stop moving, you fall behind. In fact, millions of people are trying to keep up and still feel like they're falling behind. This is the contrast that defines America. Not just rich and poor, not just success and struggle, but speed and stillness, connection and isolation, freedom and pressure, all existing at the same time. So, which version is real? The truth is, they all are. Because America isn't one experience. It depends on where you are, who you are, and what you're chasing. Some people come here looking for opportunity. Others are born into it. Some build everything from nothing. Others spend their lives trying to protect what they already have. But no matter where they start, they all face the same question. What does it actually take to make it here? And the answer isn't simple, because making it doesn't look the same for everyone. For some, it's financial success. For others, it's stability. For many, it's just getting through the day. And that's where the story begins to shift, Because when you move beyond the surface, you start to notice the details, the things that aren't obvious at first, the long working hours, the quiet stress, the constant pressure to keep going, even when you're tired, even when you're unsure, even when you feel alone. And in a country this big, feeling alone is easier than it seems. You can be surrounded by thousands of people and still go an entire day without a real conversation. In crowded cities, people pass each other without a word. In suburban homes, neighbors live side by side without ever really knowing each other. In rural areas, distance creates a different kind of isolation. So, how can a place so connected feel so disconnected at the same time? Because connection here isn't always about people. It's about systems, schedules, work, responsibilities. Everything is structured. Everything is moving. Everything is planned. And over time, your life starts revolving around it. And if you don't fit into that structure, it becomes harder to find your place. And that's something most people don't see from the outside. From the outside, America feels simple. Work hard, earn money, live freely. But inside, it's layered, complex, sometimes overwhelming. There are rules that aren't spoken, expectations that aren't written, pressures that aren't visible. And once you start noticing them, you realize something important. This country doesn't just shape your opportunities, it shapes your lifestyle, your mindset, even your definition of success, what you value, what you chase, what you sacrifice. So the real question becomes, are you living the life you want or the life you've adapted to? Because adaptation is powerful here. People learn quickly, they adjust, they push forward, even when things get difficult. And that's part of what makes America unique. Not just the opportunities, but the resilience of the people living within it. But to truly understand this place, we need to go deeper. We need to look at the image, the version of America that the world sees. The one built by movies, by social media, by stories of success. Because that image is where everything begins. And once you understand the expectation, you'll start to see why the reality feels so different. So what exactly is the American dream, and why do so many people still chase it, even when it costs more than they expected? What if the life you've always imagined was designed to feel impossible to ignore? What if the reason America looks so perfect is because that's exactly how it's meant to appear? For decades, one idea has traveled across the world faster than almost anything else: the American dream. A simple belief: work hard and you can become anything. But why does this idea feel so powerful, even to people who have never been there? Because you've already experienced it, not in real life, but through screens. In movies, America shines. Cities glow at night. Opportunities appear at the right moment. Ordinary people become extraordinary. Struggle exists, but it always leads somewhere better. And that's the version people remember. The success stories, the breakthroughs, the moments where everything changes. A small-town dreamer becomes a millionaire. A student builds a startup. An immigrant creates a new life from nothing. But how often do we see what happens in between? The long nights, the failed attempts, the quiet doubts. Because the dream is usually presented without the full story. On social media, the image becomes even stronger. Perfect homes, perfect routines, perfect lives. Morning coffee in a clean kitchen, workouts in modern gyms, smiles that look effortless. But what don't you see behind those moments? What happens before the photo and after it ends? Because expectation is built on highlights, not reality. People don't post their stress. They don't share their uncertainty. They don't show the days where nothing works. So the image stays clean even when the reality isn't. And slowly, that image becomes belief. Around the world, people start to imagine, this is where I'll be happy. This is where life will finally make sense. This is where everything changes. And that belief can quietly reshape the direction of an entire life. People leave their homes, their comfort, their familiarity, all for a chance to step into that dream. Because the promise feels real. Freedom, independence, opportunity, a place where effort is rewarded, a place where anyone can rise. But is that promise as simple as it sounds? Because every dream has conditions, unspoken ones. You need the right timing, the right skills, the right mindset. Sometimes, just the right luck. And even then, nothing is guaranteed. But expectation doesn't show you that part. It focuses on the result, not the process. The success, not the struggle. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because when you only see the outcome, you start to believe it's easier than it really is. And that belief can be both inspiring and dangerous. Inspiring because it pushes people to dream bigger, to try harder, to take risks. But dangerous because it creates an illusion that everything will work out just because you want it to. So what happens when that illusion meets reality? What happens when the dream finally becomes your life? Because expectation is comfortable, it's exciting, it's full of hope. But reality is something else entirely. It's detailed, it's unpredictable, and sometimes it doesn't match the picture you had in your mind. And that's the moment everything starts to change. The moment when people realize, this isn't what I expected. Not necessarily worse, not always better, just different. Because America is not a single story, and the dream doesn't unfold the same way for everyone. Some find success, some find stability, some keep searching longer than they thought they would. And that's where we begin to see the truth. Not the version built by media, not the version shaped by imagination, but the version people live every single day. Because once expectation fades, reality doesn't wait. So what is life actually like when the dream becomes your daily routine? What happens when the dream stops feeling like a dream and starts feeling like a responsibility? What happens when the excitement fades and real life quietly takes its place? Because reality doesn't arrive with a warning. It doesn't announce itself. It builds slowly, day by day, choice by choice. At first, everything feels different. New streets, new systems, new opportunities. There's energy in the air, a sense that something bigger is possible. At first, everything feels unfamiliar. Different roads, different systems, different possibilities. There's energy in the air, a sense that something bigger is possible, a quiet belief that maybe this time things will work out. But how long can that feeling last? Because reality doesn't stay in that phase. It shifts, slowly, silently, without asking for permission. At first, it feels like progress, new experiences, new responsibilities, new expectations. There's a rhythm to it. Wake up, go out, explore, learn, repeat. At first, it feels exciting, but then the excitement starts to change shape because reality doesn't slow down with you. It keeps moving, even when you don't feel ready, even when you're still adjusting, because life doesn't pause. It continues, and you adapt, day by day, task by task, responsibility by responsibility. At first, it feels manageable. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself you'll adjust. But slowly, something changes. Not outside, but inside. Because the excitement fades and routine takes its place. The streets don't feel new anymore. The systems don't feel interesting anymore. The possibilities start to feel distant. And that's when you realize you're no longer experiencing life. You're managing it. Wake up, go to work, return home, repeat. And slowly, that rhythm becomes your normal. Not because you chose it, but because it became necessary. Because responsibilities don't ask, they accumulate, one by one, until they become everything. At first, you still fight it. You still hope things will change. But over time, hope becomes something you schedule, something you postpone, something you revisit later. Because right now, there's no space for it. Only tasks, only deadlines, only movement. And somewhere in between, you stop noticing the shift. Because it's not dramatic, it's subtle, almost invisible. You don't wake up one day and feel different. It happens quietly, over time, until one day you realize it's been a long time since you felt excited about nothing, a long time since things felt light, a long time since you weren't thinking about what comes next. And that's when it hits you. Reality was never sudden. It was gradual. And that's what made it hard to notice. Because by the time you realize it, you're already inside it, not visiting it, not observing it, living it.
What does it feel like to finally live the life you once dreamed of and still feel unsure about it? What happens when you achieve what you wanted, but something still feels missing? Let's step inside the dream for a moment. This is a story you might see yourself in. Her name is Jessica Miller. She's 32 years old. She lives in Dallas, Texas. A small apartment, a stable job, a life that, from the outside, looks completely fine.
I used to think if I made it here, everything would fall into place. But that's not how it works.
Everything she worked for happened, but no one tells you what happens after that.
My day starts at 6 a.m. I wake up, check my phone, get ready for work. Coffee, emails, a quick look at the day ahead. It's predictable. Work begins. Meetings, tasks, deadlines. I work in healthcare administration. On paper, it's a good job. Long hours, consistent pressure, responsibility that doesn't switch off. Last month, a coworker told me, "You're lucky. You really have your life together." I smiled and said thank you. But on the drive home, I kept thinking about that sentence. Lunch break comes. Sometimes I eats. Sometimes I keeps working. Not because I forced to. Because if I fall behind, it follows my home. I don't want to be the person who can't keep up. Evening arrives. I return home. The apartment is quiet. I used to think having my own place would feel amazing. And I remember the day I signed the lease. I took pictures of the empty rooms, sent them to friends, walked around smiling for no reason. Now, I walk in, drop my keys, and don't notice the space at all. Freedom, independence, space. After some time, it just feels quiet. And not always in a good way. One night, I sits on this same couch after work. TV on, phone in my hand. I scrolls, and scrolls, and scrolls. After a while, I checks the time. 47 minutes have passed. I can't remember a single thing I saw. The apartment is silent. And for the first time, the quiet feels loud. That's when the thought hits me. Is this it? I scroll through my phone now, not for fun, but to feel connected.
Not dramatic, not extreme, just real. And that's what makes it powerful. Because her story isn't rare. Millions of people live a version of this. Different details, same structure. And the question isn't whether this life is good or bad. It's whether this is the life people imagined when they first believed in the dream. Because sometimes achieving the dream doesn't end the search. Sometimes it's where the search quietly begins.
What if the truth about America isn't what you expected, but something far more complicated? What if it's not about proving whether the dream is real, but understanding what it really means? Because after everything Jessica shared, the stories, the routines, the quiet struggles, one thing becomes clear. For Jessica, America is not one reality. It never was. It's a place where success exists, but so does sacrifice. Where opportunity is real, but so is pressure. Where freedom is available, but not always easy to hold on to. And that's what makes it different. Not better, not worse, just layered. Some people come here and build the life they imagined. Some find something completely different. And some, like Jessica, are still trying to figure it out. There is no single ending, no single outcome, only experiences. For some, the dream feels worth it. For others, it feels heavier than expected. And for many, it becomes something in between. Because the dream doesn't look the same once you're living inside it. It becomes routine, responsibility, decisions that have real consequences. And over time, the question changes. It's no longer, can I make it here? It becomes, what does this life actually mean to me? Because meaning is different for everyone. For some, it's success. For others, it's stability. For many, it's simply finding a moment of peace in a life that never fully slows down. And maybe that's the part no one talks about. That even in a place filled with opportunity, people are still searching. Searching for balance, for connection, for something that feels complete. Because in the end, this isn't just a story about a country, it's a story about people. People adapting, people pushing forward, people trying to build something meaningful in a system that never stops moving. And maybe that's the real truth. Not that the dream is false, but that it's unfinished. Still evolving, still being defined by the people living it every day. So the question isn't whether America is good or bad, it's this. If you were given this life with all its opportunities and all its pressures, would you still choose it? Or would you define your own version of the dream somewhere else? Because every country has its own story, its own rhythm, its own reality. And sometimes, the truth isn't about comparing them, it's about understanding them. And that's where the next journey begins. Because what life is really like doesn't end here. In the next story, we step into a completely different world, a different pace, a different set of expectations, and a completely different version of the dream. What life is really like in Pakistan. And once you see it, you may start to question everything you thought you knew. Because the world doesn't just have one truth, it has many. And each one is waiting to be understood.